What is your first date deal breaker? Constantly one-upping. You think that's bad? One that me I. Dude, that's nothing. I used to. Bad conversation when you feel like getting more than a 2-word answer out of them is like pulling teeth. Answering all your questions with questions until you finally drill down and ask a question so specific that the answer is utterly uninteresting. Egg, tell me about yourself. Like, what do you want to know? What do you like to do? Like in general, or at night or at work? Do you have any hobbies? No. When they try to dominate the conversation and make everything about themselves while cutting you off. I went out with a girl who asked me if I had done something like, for example, surfed in Hawaii. I said no. Then she went on to tell me about what she did for about 20 minutes. Then another question. Followed by another 20-minute story. Went on like this for a while till I lied and said yeah. I started to make up a story when she cut me off and started another story. Top 5 of my worst first dates. Playing on their phone. / Clash Royale intro plays / This comment is brought to you by Raid Shadow Legends. When they start clowning on your interests. Yes. And it always seems like the ones who give you a hard time about your interests either have no discernible interests at all, or they're into some really random crap. So what are you into? Well, I really enjoy drawing, love reading a good book to ugh. Seriously? That's so weird. Kinda lame, I'm okay. Well, what stuff are you into? I collect anatomically correct unicorn plushes and dress them in baby clothes. My apologies to all the unicorn plushie collectors out there. When it feels like a chore to get them to actually talk to you. Sums up every dating app in existence. Them, be interesting and original. Also them, hi. Playing with phone. Cutting me off mid-sentence. Saying one-word responses like okay, cool, nice. I was 5 minutes into a date with someone. We were walking from our meeting point to a cafe nearby, and he asked how I knew German. I started telling the story, my mistake, and 40 seconds in he literally put his finger to his lips and said shhhh. Was Zumpfig. Felix. Was iced bloss mid dealos. Edit. Texted him about it, and he was like how rude of me. But I don't really want to get into this. No sorry, no nothing. I wouldn't say a word and I would just get up and walk out. I had a guy choke me during a bit of making out on the first date. I said I wasn't into that in public. Definitely not with someone I'd just met, and not while a bit buzzed. He proceeded to try / actually choke me during 2 follow-up kisses. I was a bit drunk. If I was sober I would have ended it sooner, and then sulked and said it was just a joke when I said I was paying my half of the bill and going home alone. So, major deal breaker. Don't choke someone you don't know. It wasn't a joke. It was testing how he could push your boundaries. Glad you didn't see him again. Only talks about themselves. Genuine question. Isn't a first date the way of you getting to know the other person? Could you explain how it's bad if they only talk about themselves? Had a first date where it became clear very early on he was only going to talk about himself. So I played a game and decided to see how long it would take him to ask me a question. It was the whole date. He went the entire date doing a monologue and never asked me any kind of question or engaged in any back and forth. As we parted he declared it one of the best dates and he'd love to do it again sometime. That obviously didn't happen. Some of his gems included that he played in a pro indoor football league and then told me how much he made doing it. Except really he wasn't playing currently because he had an injury and actually it had been 4 years since he played. So it was very I scored 4 touchdowns in high school vibes. He was also 29 and looking for third wife. She brings her 3 kids that she failed to tell me about, or bringing 23 relatives. https://www thesun.com/lifestyle/3,929,455/woman brings 23 family members blind date / to test their generosity. Wow. When they said 23 and me, that's not what they meant. Funnily enough I thought it said test their genealogy. Bad hygiene. I'm shocked by the amount of dates I've gone on and the other person looks like they just rolled out of bed and haven't showed in a while. Do folks just not have any shame anymore? When they start confessing their love to you. Classic Schmoss B. Hey Schmoss B. Remember when you keyed in your pants down by the lake? Unbelievable. Yeah, I remember. One-sided conversations. I want to talk with you, not at you. I've seen married people who talk to each other like this. It's kinda sad to see. Sloppy ass eating. Edit at a restaurant. I just realized this could be taken the wrong way. That hyphen has the weight of the world on its shoulders XD. Nor just the weight of their top half. If they ask me about my salary, too soon, and not relevant. Wasn't a date, but this guy was hitting on me in a club by telling me all about how much he earned and how he had the company card and could put drinks on it etc etc. Felt too bad for the poor guy to tell him I actually earn 20k more than him. But have you factored in risking your job by putting drinks on the company card? He makes like 18k less with that additional Benny. If he gets offended if I offer to pay the bill, tries to order for me, talks about only himself and never asks any questions. What guy orders for his date on the first date? Like without asking what she wants? I couldn't imagine. Maybe in a scenario where you agree to go to a place for a specific dish that you both want to try, but 99% of scenarios, that just seems so weird. Like, IDK this person or what they like yet. My date wants the squidding pasta with cow eye meatballs and a Rocky Mountain oyster. The entertain me attitude. They forget they also need to get me to like them too if this is going to work lol. And that mentality just kills the ability for personalities to come out also bragging about how much of a mess you are. Like why do you think that makes you attractive? If you were fun you'd just say you're fun, but you chose that phrase like it's better somehow. Oh my god, I recently went on a date like this. Trying to have a conversation with them was like pulling teeth /view 200D. Eyes on the phone 75% of the date. I just imagine someone with a stopwatch on a date and ending it when the 75% threshold is violated. Them not asking any questions about you and only talking about themselves the whole time. Yep, and there's a lot of people who do that. When they're nice to you, but not to the waiter, because one day you'll be in the waiter's position. This is maybe one of the most insightful things I've ever read. Definitely not being attentive during the date. Always on their phone. Hard to talk and get to know each other, enjoy company if they are not really paying attention. Makes you feel like a third wheel on your own date. Did we date the same person? General hatefulness. F you. If you can't handle me at my worst you don't deserve me at my best. /s. Unclean or smelly, not the person from the picture. A guy posted his son's photo. Yes, I'm serious, I was in my 20s. He was pushing 50. As I was walking out, he proceeded to follow me out, then followed me in the car for 35 miles as I was afraid to drive home, so went on the motorway, being on the phone rude and condescending, cannot hold conversation, or makes everything about them too pushy. Tries to grope /touch makes sexual advances or remarks, tries to buy a lot of alcoholic drinks to loosen up, has a problem with boundaries. Oh, hell no. To the second one, I'd have driven to a police station. Being more than 15 minutes later. If you can't respect my time now, you never will. Edit. Even if you run late due to unforeseen circumstances, you can let people know within that time frame just fine. A woman I matched with online told me a few days before our first date that she'd be 30 minutes late as she's always late. I said you can't plan on being late and that if it's too early I'm happy to meet later. She insisted she would be late 30 minutes even if I delayed the date by 30 minutes. That she could not get anywhere on time. When I said how would she feel if I turned up an hour late, she said that's different as I'd be doing it to make a point where she was doing it because she genuinely couldn't help. When I said I'll pass on the date, she sent me articles saying how some people can't be helped being late. Then accused me of having a controlling personality when I said sorry, but I don't believe that you should plan on being late. I blocked her and met a woman a month later who turned up on time and smiling. We have been now dating for 2 years. Trauma dumping. 100% agree. I get wanting / needing to be honest with a potential partner on certain things. But I'm not gonna go in depth about how my parents' divorce or sister's death affected me. That can wait until a few dates in, when we know each other better, and I feel like I trust them enough, and I hate being on by my friends for lying to a date, by waiting until a second or third date to tell them I literally had this happen to me on a first date, and only guy was telling me how he has lifelong PTSD because he was driving his drunk mother home when he was 16 and they got into an accident that killed his sister. Yikes. Being rude to wait staff. Oh yeah, massive red flag. And I'll add too that the general lack of manners. Thank you. Excuse me and please take zero effort to say. Constantly talking about an ex. Have you found Jesus? So much this, especially when their profile said they weren't religious. It's happened to me 3 times now, and I just do get it. Reading through most of these responses I realize that either A, I'm really good at vetting PPL before asking them on a date, or B, I've been extremely lucky in my life. Then again, I've never used dating apps. Always asked a girl out after meeting her during life stuff. I mean, I did most of my dating through apps, and I rarely had first dates that could be considered bad like this. Even the ones that didn't make it to a second date. They were usually perfectly nice people and there was some other reason I called it off. I think vetting is a big part of it. And I think a big part of it is age. And also the type of people you go for. I went on a date with a woman I'd been talking with for a couple of weeks. We lived in different towns. Decided to meet up in a pub in her town. I lasted less than a pint. All she did was run men down. Say how useless we are. All after one thing. Etc. She seemed genuinely surprised when I stood up and said goodbye and walked out. It's the cliche all my exes are crazy. Are they? Are they though? I suck at math, but what is the lowest denominator here? I always say that what's the one thing in common with all your /MT failed relationships? Me. If that's what you meant. I meant when they act like every relationship failed because their exes were all crazy. But the date did nothing wrong. Not them. Saying that on a first date makes me walk out.